Here is why RuPaul's Drag Race laws targeting drag shows are proliferating in America. Recently, RuPaul's Drag Race began its 15th season on television. Long familiar at gay bars, drag has been pushed more into the mainstream due to the popularity of RuPaul's Drag Race. Drag queen story hours also now take place in libraries across the country. Parents take children to hear books with titles like Be Who You Are, read aloud by people in drag. Supporters say the readings promote self-acceptance, diversity, and tolerance. Meanwhile, lawmakers across the country are engaged in a different sort of race, to restrict drag performances in the name of protecting children. At least 36 bills in 15 states are proposing rules that make it harder for people to perform in drag. Some states, including Texas, are seeking to classify any venue hosting a drag show as a sexually oriented business, which brings costs and restrictions on where it can be located. Arkansas is among states also trying to prevent public funds from going to drag shows. This is a reaction to the news that some cities have used taxpayer money to support Drag Queen Story Hour. New York City reportedly spent around $200,000 on it from 2018 to 2022. In Missouri, North Dakota, and Tennessee, exposing a minor to performance would become a felony, which carries jail time. You really have to wonder how many of these same hypocritical lawmakers are watching RuPaul's Drag Race behind closed doors, which reminds me of the story that Tim Gunn tells about being a child and visiting his father, who worked for J. Edgar Hoover, who we all know had a proclivity for dressing up at the FBI. So do me a favor, y'all. Just Google J. Edgar Hoover plus Vivian Vance for one of the funniest stories you will ever hear, I promise.
Yeah, exactly. Thoughts about drag queens?
Well, I mean, I think there was a story the other day of the Tennessee business owner that was speaking to the city commission about these bans and saying that, where does it stop? Where does this stop? Are we going to now let the Tennessee Titans cheerleaders who are scantily clad, are they going to not be able to perform in front of for a football game? Are we no longer going to allow, going down the rabbit hole of what we're going to allow? And, the state liquor laws, as he pointed out, already restrict nudity and sexual content as part of the liquor license rules. So therefore, this is, again, it is not about protecting children. It is about attacking LGBTQ people, as we already know. So, I mean.
Every time I think about this, I think about Misty. And every year, I think last year was the first time. Misty Eyes. Excuse me, Misty Eyes. Alicia.
Yes.
Right. I remember her reading the books to the children, and I thought it was the most beautiful thing. And they were there, and they were in awe. It was nothing sexual about it. And I just don't understand how people can look at that and just turn it into something ugly.
Hate is what they turn into. Dog whistles, exactly right. It's interesting. RuPaul is at the top of this pyramid, as our story shows. She's hosting a VH1 show in 1994, I believe. It went on to VH1 as a talk show. RuPaul is a man. RuPaul is a gay man who is married. RuPaul has no interest in children. RuPaul's Charles, who the character of RuPaul is, has no interest. That truth is not at what is at play here, and that's what our story is really about. In 2010, I brought RuPaul for the first time to Sawmill to perform, and when RuPaul Charles came, he was a man the entire time. He gets into drag for performance and only gets in drag when he's being paid to get into drag. He does not live as a woman, does not live in whatever definitions that we define and we understand clearly in 2023 are completely acceptable. My point is, in 2010, he came to Sawmill, performed, has had Supermodel and all of the other stuff. The show had not started yet, and came back 5 years later after the show was just the most important drag event in the world. In both instances, he is performing in red, deep red, blood red Pasco County. And while Pasco County did not like Sawmill Resort, and they didn't want to acknowledge that, tens of thousands of gay people came to this location every year, RuPaul was never a question. No one in Pasco County said, there's some issue of RuPaul performing in Pasco County. It's an indication to me, and it always is a reminder to me, this story is a summary of that, in that the drag queen is not really the story here. They never thought it was a story. It was only until they realized post the Trump administration in this last 2 years, oh wait, we have a wedge that we can use that will be effective, which is exactly what we do on trans. It's exactly what we do on the sexual nature that they want to say that gay men are predatory. It's the exact nature of a book ban. It's the exact nature of claiming parental rights until a parent decides what they want to do with their trans child. It has nothing to do with reality, and we should continue to always say this has nothing to do with reality. This has to do with money and power, and Governor Ron DeSantis is after both of those. That's what's going on here. LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.